right here?
Yeah, plenty cool.
Cool.
Scholarships,
Cool.
acts of kindness, and thousands of Arizonans have joined Desert Financial, located inside the Basin Walmart.
And thank you to Desert Financial Credit Union for sponsoring the KRIM Community Spotlight Program. Good morning, Rim Country. Chris Higgins in the studio. Hope you're having a great Wednesday, day before Thanksgiving. Hope everyone has plans with family, getting together with loved ones, friends. There's a lot of places that are serving dinners, so if you can, check out our KRIM Facebook page, and we'll share as many of those as we find. I know the New Directions, the Warming Center is doing a community Thanksgiving dinner, so if you don't have anywhere to go and you want to spend the day with people, have dinner with some people, and if you're kind of just, again, don't have any place to go, the Warming Center is open, and that's 4 to 6:30. So big thank you to them for doing that and all the work they do in our community. Well, this morning we are going to be talking with a handsome young man, a bearded fellow that I've known since he was a little sprout running around here in Payson, and now he's serving Young Life, their ministry, and he has a Young Life ministry here in town, and it is Hunter Barr that's in the studio this morning. So good morning, Hunter.
Good morning, Chris.
Okay, and I always the beard, love the beard, man, and going to be sharing a little bit about Young Life, the program. There might be those in the community that aren't familiar with Young Life, what Young Life does. The role of the program, kind of how long it's been in the community, and also it'd be great to talk about how people can contribute to Young Life, be a part
Absolutely.
of it to help help you guys continue to go on trips, do different activities, and be able to reach young people and impact young people's life here in Payson. So how about you tell us a little bit about the Young Life program?
So, a little bit of backstory here. Young Life was founded in 1941 by a pastor who was really just trying to spend time with kids who were disinterested in church. Fast forward, what's 1940 to 2022, 81 years.
Yeah, 81 years.
Today we're in over 100 countries. We're supported by 5,000 plus staff members and 81,000 volunteers.
Wow, 81,000 volunteers.
Yes, and so from that standpoint, that gives you a kind of a broad, overarching look at what Young Life is today.
Mm-hmm.
But for Payson, we started back up 5 years ago. There was some time in the 80s and 90s, or maybe 70s and 80s. I'm not too familiar with the time frame, but the Sandoval's and the Soaplands and a few other churches and families were in conjunction with Young Life, reaching kids that weren't interested in church all that much.
Mm-hmm.
And it stopped for 30 years almost, and 2018 we started it back up.
Mm-hmm.
And since then we've gone to, I think it's 9 different camp trips. We've talked to over 200, 300 kids about Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And we are supported by various different churches in town. We've been supported by Expedition Church. They've let us use their van. We've worked with their youth pastors in the past. Mountain Bible, Mount Cross Lutheran had a van that we used for a while, and we've worked with them in multiple ways. And Calvary Chapel. The list goes on of people who have supported us in the community.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I do is I'm the area director here in town, and I get to basically lead the Young Life here in the community with our committee. Mm-hmm. And you probably know a few of our committee members, and the way that we try and meet kids is we go to where they are, as opposed to most youth programs is they hold an event and ask kids to come to them.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is kids are busy today.
Mm-hmm.
They're programmed, they have so many things after school, football goes until 8 o'clock at night sometimes just for practice. And so what we do is we meet kids where they're at. We go to sports events. Sometimes we go to the school if we're allowed on campus. We go to the regular hangouts. But the reality is we're just trying to start relationships with kids to basically introduce them to Christ if they don't know him.
Yeah, and now ages. What ages really does Young Life look at or target or include in the program?
Yeah, so in Payson, we're solely working on high school.
Okay.
Getting to know high school kids, hanging out with them, telling them about Jesus. However, I'll tell anybody about Jesus. I mean, I'm talking about him on the radio.
Yeah.
However, Young Life has middle school ministry, high school, college, the special needs, single moms. There's a lot of needs that can be met, and the potential for Young Life in Payson is really a good one. Now, the reality is right now, I'm the only staff person.
Gotcha.
Again, the potential for that is probably unbarred. We could have multiple staff people working on multiple projects and trying to reach multiple people. And statistically speaking, Gila County is probably the biggest need as far as small towns and rural Arizona goes, as far as what we need to help our youth.
Yeah, there definitely. When you mentioned middle school, that's great to be able to connect at a younger age with children that maybe don't have role models in their life, both parents or they just they need someone. Maybe
Right.
don't have the friends, and just need someone to talk to, look up to, and also, like you said, sharing Christ with them and the hope of Jesus. Then that's a wonderful thing, and being able to share at a young age and going to where they are versus, hey, come to this program, come to this event, and so on. Also, when you mentioned young mothers or single mothers, because teen pregnancy is higher in Gila County, and I could see a real need there or an opportunity.
Right. Well, and not to interrupt you, but just in the United States, the nuclear family, like the typical mom, dad, kids in the household, has gone from 40% in the 80s to 17 currently. And I think it's more towards 18, 17 and a half-ish. But the statistics of the family being normal, or I guess typical, is very low, just in the United States. And so kids are just really looking for people to encourage them, to meet them where they're at, to love them. And usually what that looks like is just giving them your time. I heard it said that the greatest expression of love is wasting time. And the reason is because, even for high school kids now, being overprogrammed, having everything nipping at their heels, trying to get them to go somewhere, and adults, if we can waste time with someone, that's like a best friend, right? If you take your friend out to lunch and then you goof off and talk after the meal for 30 minutes, like, you just wasted that time, but it was for them. And a lot of the time with these kids, that's all we're doing. We're wasting time. We'll tell them about Jesus, we'll hang out, we'll drive them home. Some of the kids we drive home live past Christopher Creek up towards Heber. Some of the kids we drive home are in Pine and Strawberry. And I've had kids from Geisela, Tonto Basin. And it's not really just Payson. It's northern Gila County, Young Life. And that's something that I have a heart for is I drive kids home to Christopher Creek every Wednesday. And the reality is we service 22,000 people in Payson, just in our surrounding areas. It's not just the 16 or 17 that live in town. It's everybody. There's no Walmart for people, or Bashas' or Safeway. within 70 miles,
Mhm.
it's Payson.
This is it.
And that's what Young Life is for Payson right now. Is we are the hub for Northern Gila County,
Mhm.
and I'm pretty sure we're the only Young Life in Gila County.
Wow. Yeah. And when you say, it's funny because I had someone say that to me the other day when I was talking to them for a period of time,
Yeah.
a half an hour, or so, maybe a little longer. And they apologized. They said, oh, sorry, I'm probably wasting your time, or I wasted your time. And so when you say that wasting time, that's how sometimes people can look at that when you engage with them for a longer period of time, when you spend time with somebody,
Right.
when you're just listening or talking or
Giving them your time.
giving them your time, giving that to them. Some people can look at it that way and say, oh, sorry, I'm wasting your time, I've
Right.
wasted your time. But it seems like more uncommon these days, so it's even more special to where we take the time to talk to somebody, listen
Right.
to somebody, especially young people. I think that is very, very important, so they feel valued, so
Right.
they feel like they matter, like they're important, that somebody cares about them. Because if they don't get that or get enough of it,
Right.
it's very limited, then that can have a big impact on them. So how did you get started in Young Life?
So a typical way that an area gets started in Young Life is someone gets hired as the area director. They go to the town and start Young Life. They build a committee and build a ministry. They do club and campaigners, which is basically outreach and discipleship. And then they raise their funding through that community. For me, it was not that way, to say the least. We had a committee here for 2 years almost before I got hired. There was funding already. The difference was they were trying to find someone who knew Young Life to come and do Payson Young Life. When I was invited from a coworker of mine from Sunshine Cleaning,
Hey, we have that connection.
he said, hey, I've been thinking about taking this position, but I realized that I shouldn't be taking this position. The only person I think should be doing this job in Payson is you. And me, being flattered, to say the least, I went to the committee meeting, and after a month or two, I finally applied for the position. And the reality is Payson's very different from the rest of the world. And maybe it's like every other small town, and I'm just not learned like everybody else out there. But Payson's different. We're socioeconomically, politically speaking, we're a very different community compared to Phoenix or even the smaller towns near us, like Camp Verde. And so finding someone who wanted to live in Payson, who was familiar and comfortable with living in Payson, I think that was the hardest part. There was a lot of people who were willing to take the job, but weren't willing to live in Payson. The reality is I've been here since I was a little kid. My family raised me here from the time that I was born. I graduated from the Frontier Elementary School.
Ooh,
and
Frontier.
the middle school,
The dome.
RCMS. Yeah. I graduated from the high school here. The only reasons why I left were for the military. I joined the Army at 17, and then I chased a couple jobs, the oil field, and I also went to Bible college in California. And so this is my hometown. It's always been my headquarters, and it's always been the place that I call home. And so for me to come into this committee and say I would like to take this job, I think it was a win, and all I had to do was learn Young Life, which is a niche community in itself. But I think it was a lot easier to teach someone Young Life than it was to teach someone Payson.
So true.
Yeah.
And also the connection.
Yeah.
I think this program is about connecting.
Yeah.
It's about connecting with young people, like you said, sharing Jesus with those people, sharing your faith, your experiences, and trying to encourage them. And you're watching them grow in their faith,
Yeah.
and you're there for them. So it's all about connections. Well, you already had the connection to the community. You're very connected to the community. So like you said, I think that is so true, where it is, I think, most of the time easier to learn whether it's a profession or a
Right.
job or about a company or an organization than to get connected into a community that can be harder, can take time. Also, depending on where you're from.
Yeah.
If you're not used to a smaller community, a smaller school, just all the things that, like you said, make Payson unique, then it can take time, or you can maybe never get accustomed to that.
Right.
Yeah. Huh.
It's funny because the more that I think about it, I mean, I've known you for a really long time.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we have nicknames. You're the Coconut Hound,
You're the honey badger.
and we, I grew up on Phoenix Street, and just the fact that I am able to do this in my hometown is a blessing in itself.
Mhm.
But then to think back that I was one of these kids. The difference was I wasn't disinterested in church. I was in church.
Mhm.
And I assumed that all my friends went to church.
Mhm.
And so now I'm in a position where I'm helping kids that were in the same position as my friends were, where they didn't want to go to church and they didn't really have a basis to know who Jesus was other than Christmas.
Mhm.
And they didn't really know God unless it said, "In God we trust" on the money,
Mhm.
And the reality is like the connections matter a lot, because a lot of my friends have kids in this town,
Mhm.
and I want to make something viable for their kids to come to learn about Jesus, to feel comfortable talking about Christ, and to feel comfortable having friends outside of their normal community, if that's what it is, or for those kids that have a hard time making friends, it builds a community for them.
Mhm.
And I think that's what I'm the most proud of, is creating a welcoming space for kids.
Mhm.
And typically Young Life looks like a big party, chaos, and music, and a big old mess. And sometimes we do that. But in Payson, I found that kids just want somewhere to hang out.
Mhm.
And there's no real public space in Payson. There's no town public space other than the parks.
Yes.
And so what's really come in handy is Pizza Factory. When Rodney owned it, he let us go in there. Now
Yeah.
Jake owns it. He lets
Yeah.
us go in there
Yeah.
to have Young Life there. The dairy shop, we're there a lot.
Uh-huh.
And Joey and Katie have been super accommodating for us
Uh-huh.
to be there. And the reality is there's not very many places.
Mhm.
We go to Taco Bell sometimes. We call ahead of time. We be as respectful as possible.
Mhm.
But the reality is there's not a big area inside during the
Mhm.
winter for kids to go and hang out.
Mhm.
And so what we do is we basically just organize hangout time
Mhm.
and tell them about Jesus.
Mhm.
That's it.
Mhm.
And it works. It works here in town. And I think the reason why is because it's something that the kids don't get regularly.
Mhm. It is great having businesses like Pizza Factory, and you mentioned Rodney and Gail,
Yeah.
when they owned it, and then when Jake and Marcy, took over, they really continued that. And they are such a blessing for young people in the community, whether it's young people that work there
Yeah.
and get to be employed, get to learn what it's like to work, and make some money, and have that opportunity. Or if you're going in there with your group, Young Life,
Yeah.
or there's youth groups that'll go in there, and then how much Jake and Marcy donate to the community too,
Yeah.
not just to youth programs, but to other, organizations. I believe the Warming Center, they
Yeah.
take pizza over there. So just very involved in the community, and the same with Joey and Katie Klein at Dan's Eyes and Dairy.
Yeah.
Just the same, community involvement and just love for the community and support for the community.
Right.
So that is great to see. So like approximately how many young people, do you see, and
It varies, especially if it's football season.
the numbers probably decrease, huh?
Well, and it's not even like a lot of football kids come. It's just that's somewhere to be.
Yes.
And so last month we had 8 kids show up. 2 weeks ago we had 25 kids show up. And it's funny because I'll tell you those numbers and they don't sound like a lot, but usually it's not the same faces.
Yeah.
There will be a core group of 7 to 12 kids, and then there's all these other kids that just show up and hang out, and we get to do our outreach stuff with them. And so it really changes. What I like to tell people is my kids that I know by name, I think the number that I have is 158. And that's not just kids that have graduated. That's kids that are in the school system right now. In the high school. And that's a growing number until next year when the seniors graduate, and then it restarts, But 158, that's a number that I like to I like to take credit for, only in the fact that those are kids that I know. Much like the community, being connected, these kids I know, and I care about them, and I pray for them. And so it's a constantly varying number. But the cool thing is those kids, if they come to Young Life and they like Young Life, and they end up going to college. I have there's a kid named Brian. He went to NAU. He's now leading with the NAU Young Life team.
That is awesome.
And just the fact that he's there. And there's a girl named Megan, and she's at GCU. She leads with Central Phoenix as a college age leader for the high school in Central Phoenix.
Oh, wow.
And it's crazy because when in any position where you work with the youth, you get to watch them grow and go their separate ways. And Payson's a revolving door for adults, and exponentially so for high schoolers that are graduating, and college age kids that are going out and learning their schooling or their vocation. And so it's really cool to watch that. And I think that's the biggest blessing is not just, it's really hard to watch your friends go, because that's what they become. They're not just kids, they're your friends. But when they go and do such crazy things. There's one girl that's in the Navy. There's a couple of boys that are in the Marines and the Army, and just watching these kids go out and do what they feel like they're called to do, or feel like they're being led to do. That's the gift in most of this, is now they get to know Jesus and go do their life and do it for him, and getting to watch that, whether it's on Instagram, or Brian calls me every once in a while, I'll call him, but just to know that these kids they're having their needs met here, and then they're helping other people when they go out is such a blessing to know that.
Having an impact on other people's lives.
Yeah.
And now you need to tell people a little bit about your family, because it's awesome. It's not just like you, Hunter Barr, on your own, but
hatched from an egg and went at life.
But you are married and have a couple children. So tell us a little bit about your family.
My family, my beautiful wife Elena, and I have 2 girls. We have a 2.5-year-old named Willow. She's awesome. She asks a lot of questions, so that's really fun. And Sonora is our youngest right now. God willing, we'll have more. But Sonora is 8 months old this month, and being a dad of girls, coming from a family of boys,
All boys, just brothers, right? All you had was brothers.
just brothers. Yeah. My
That's a
my
little-
parents, my dad was a police officer here in town for 20 plus years.
Uh-huh.
My mom, she went to high school here and raised us here, and
Yeah.
we my brothers and we grew up here.
Yeah.
My brother Mike's name in memorial is on Longhorn
Mm-hmm.
for the mile that goes by the high school.
Mhm.
And my brother Matt grew up here. My brother Luke is a police officer here now.
Mm-hmm.
And just like you said, the connections are cool. But being a dad of girls, when watching a dad of boys
Yeah.
my whole life, I have no idea what I'm doing.
You got to
And-
be learning on the fly.
And I think that's what's so incredibly terrifying about life, is that's everything. No, I was gonna say it's so incredibly rewarding to experience being the dad of girls, because I get to learn how to be more tactful with the way that I say things. I'm not very good at it yet. I'm hoping to be better at it.
There you go.
But having to not say, "Hey, stop doing that."
Yeah.
It's more like, "What are you doing?
Honey, what
Let's
are you
do
doing?"
something else."
Yeah.
Because if you do it like
Yeah. They yell, then the tears come.
then
tears
it's
come.
just laying on the floor crying, and,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
That's
Not very
life.
productive.
yeah.
Yeah. It's not the result or the outcome you're looking for.
Yeah.
So I know having daughters, 3 daughters and 5 boys, and how that is, where
Yeah.
the difference and the tone.
I'm preaching to the choir here.
Yeah, how you speak to your sons completely different, because they will just stare at you, give you a blank stare, like you and your brothers probably did to your parents, just like, huh?
What did you say?
Huh? And that's where you have to yell most of the time.
Yeah.
Where girls,
It's not yelling. It's being precise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just yelling.
It's
And
just yelling.
where with girls,
Yeah.
you don't usually need to do that, because if your voice is raised, then the tears can start welling up, and then you feel like a real heel.
Yeah.
So you
Yep.
just don't need to do that. So it is quite different. So it's awesome to see you back in the community. There's other young people, some of your peers
Yeah.
that you've seen come back and are brought back, and now they're contributing just greatly to the community and making it a better community with everything they're doing. And
Yeah.
it's awesome to see, and that's what makes Payson such a wonderful community. Are people that invest
Yeah.
in the community, in other people, that really care about people, and they want to make a difference. That's I guess that's in life. You look at that, and what impact are you having? Are you making a difference in someone's life? And there's just so many people here in Payson that are doing that,
Yeah.
and it's a great thing.
Well, and before, I know it's about time, but I wanted to say that we've been supported by so many people in this community,
Mhm.
so many businesses. We have a golf tournament every year,
Mm-hmm.
and just the fact that we are able to raise money for this program
Mm-hmm.
from Payson, businesses and community leaders.
Mm-hmm.
It's been amazing,
Yeah.
and I am just blown away at the amount of support that's come from our community.
Mhm.
Not that I didn't expect it,
Mhm.
but the fact that it's just so, it's family here,
Mhm.
and a lot of people don't understand that from the
Mhm.
outside looking in, but this community is beautiful
Mhm.
in the way that we come alongside one another
Yes.
and work hard to achieve each other's goals, and I'd like to say I'm indebted to this community to give back whatever I can, because it raised me,
Yeah. So different ways that people, if they want to contribute, you mentioned the golf tournament, that fundraiser. but is there a website
Yes.
where people can go and they can contribute or find out more about Young Life, all of that?
Yes, and what I like to do is I like to give my personal contact information,
Okay.
which is probably not a great idea to do
Oh,
on
no,
the radio.
no, give it away.
Oh,
give,
okay.
give it out, yeah.
If anybody would like to, they can text me or call me. My cell phone number is 928-951-5536.
Mhm.
And I would love to actually talk to you and get to know you. If you are considering donating, that would be great. And the reason is because I would like to take you seriously instead of just take your money, because that's not the point.
Mhm.
The other thing is my email is pacingyounglife18@gmail.com. And if you would like more information, if you want to be a part of our newsletter, and if you would like to have a direct link to our donation website, I can send that to you.
Awesome. Well, hey, yeah, half hour. We could talk for a long time.
I could waste your time.
You could waste you could waste your time, man. Well, thank you so much, Hunter, for coming on.
Thank you. I
It's,
really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm very glad. I know we've talked about this for a while, getting you on the radio on our Community Spotlight program, because I feel it's a wonderful program that if you haven't heard about Young Life before, that you and everyone involved with Young Life are doing great things in the community, and people need to know about that. So, amen. Hey,
Thank you.
thank you, and thank you everyone for listening this morning and watching on our KRIM FM Facebook page. Steve Harder, he commented, that's Cabo Steve, I like to call him. Nicely done, Hunter. So proud of the work you are doing with our youth.
Thanks, Steve.
So Steve, a great guy. Steve and Lisa,
Yeah.
great
I
couple.
played music with Steve.
Yeah, bass player,
A world-renowned bass player.
world-renowned
Yeah.
bass player, Steve Harder. Yeah, also a parade announcer. He
wow.
announces. Yeah, he's been announcing parades, and he'll be announcing the Electric Light Parade again this year in front of the Oxbow Saloon. Both him
Awesome.
and Mike the Music Man, so you don't want to miss that. Always very entertaining. He heckles me, so it's good.
Perfect.
I know.
That's what you want. That's what
I
you want.
know. It's great. It's great. So thanks for watching, Steve. And again, thank you everyone for listening this morning, and also thank you to Desert Financial Credit Union for sponsoring our Community Spotlight program. Time to get back to the music with some Bachman Turner Overdrive, Rolling Stones, Journey, Queen, and more. But first, let's get a quick update from the National Weather Service.
As for Payson and surrounding areas, I'm nowcast meteorologist
Yeah,
Jim
that's
Voss.
great. Yeah, it was. It was very good. Oh, you're so welcome. Yeah, that, yeah, it's good. I was like, yeah, we need to get Hunter on to talk about Young Life, because, yeah, so,
Thanksgiving Day, sunny and breezy.
the more we can have for young people in the community and continue and grow them, the better. Because, yeah, really need to be investing, and the community does invest. Like you said, everyone that supports
Yeah,
Young
no,
Life, and
it's-
you look at all the other youth groups, just all the programs, the sports programs, RVN3. I mean, there's just so many programs and people that support our youth. And the youth, they, when you're young, you're like, oh, whatever, sometimes. But there are youth that you talk to that realize that, that recognize that.
Yeah.
But then, especially when they leave, then they really, see that if they go to, I don't know, even when they're visiting colleges and talking, sharing with other, with peers or kids, oh yeah, we have this program, we have this, and it's like, wow, really, whoa.
Yeah. Well, and people don't realize how much there is to do in this town. The hard part is it's usually commitment based, like sports or the dance program or gymnastics, and it's all very like,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard for parents of toddlers and middle schoolers and high